Welcome to the Sunday morning simulcast with Rom Wills. One moment can change everything. And this is a continuous theme I've had. You've probably heard 3 or 4 podcasts with the same theme, but it's one of those things I'll probably always go with. A couple weeks ago, someone close to me told me some stuff that actually helped me to grow. I might have actually mentioned this already, but it changed. I noticed the outgrowth from it, and it changed and just my thoughts towards everything, right? And then it actually opened up other perspectives for me. See one thing. Most people, well, I ain't gonna say most, the overwhelming majority, 99.9% of people walk around with false beliefs about themselves, about the world, their place in it, everything. Most of us are lying to ourselves, right? In that one moment when we have a moment of clarity, a moment of truth, an undeniable truth, and we accept that truth, everything changes, because then our whole world changes. Understand, when we walk around with false beliefs, everything we do, everything we see, everything we touch is colored by those false beliefs. So we actually create a certain reality. Like if you have a false belief that no one finds you attractive, well, that's how you're going to go through life. You're going to miss out on all the people who are trying to get your attention, who find you attractive, and you'll actually behave as an unattractive person. Now, if someone were to tell you in a moment of clarity that, yes, you are a very attractive person, all of a sudden that changes. All of a sudden you start noticing the people that find you attractive. All of a sudden your behavior changes to everything. It could be on a job. Right? You might have a false belief that you can't do a particular job, that you wouldn't be any good at it. Right? So you never pursue it. You never pursue opportunities in this field. But then a series of events happen and you find, hey, you will be great at this particular thing. All of a sudden, instead of struggling with different jobs or vocations that don't suit you, all of a sudden because in that one moment, your thoughts would change. You were able to move forward into what you were meant to do and do well at it. I use that example with myself. There was a time years ago that I think it was in college. I looked at sales and I said, man, I could never do sales. I could never do sales. And I thought about that moment I always think about that when I'm either selling my books or I've worked in sales for other people. I was like, damn, I'm good at this. I didn't know it. I'm actually, if for whatever reason I need to sell something or I want to get out of this, I would always look for a high-end sales job. In fact, there was a gentleman and he's on a sales job where his base is $100,000. He was trying to get me to come on board. But it's ironic, but I had a false belief I couldn't do that. And it's ironic that a significant portion of the money I've made in life has come from sales and me selling directly to people. So it's like that one moment. And you know what, that one moment, the beauty of it is it can come at any time, no matter where you are. There are plenty of people who might be carrying too much weight, right? They're carrying too much weight around. They're sick. They might have high blood pressure, diabetes, a whole bunch of ills that come with being overweight. And, they might, of course, logically, they're going to do different things to try to get that weight off. But it could be that one person saying something, or that one person, or that one incident that happens, that one moment that like it clicks in them and they like, oh, I got to change this. That's how quickly it can happen. Like any change in life can come just suddenly, where you just say, you know what? No, no more. I remember this gentleman told me when I wanted to get started in business. He said, look, 50% of you succeeding in business is deciding that you want to do a business. And he didn't say just being in business. He said succeeding is deciding you want to be in business. Because then other stuff opens up for you. You know, you make that decision that you want to get into, say, a certain vocation. All of a sudden, things you didn't notice before, you start to see. You know, you start to see places where you could work, or things you could do in that vocation, right? If you decide all of a sudden that you want to be, you want to start dealing with a certain type of class of people, right? All of a sudden, you're going to start seeing them more. You know, you're going to go where they're at. You all of a sudden, if you decide you're going to change your style of eating, you've been a meat eater all your life, carnivore, and for health reasons, whatever, you decide, you know what, I'm gonna be vegan. All of a sudden, stuff is going to open up. Or you can hang out with a friend. You love those steaks and everything. You hang out with a friend at a vegan restaurant, and the food is so good, you're hooked right there. You ever have that? You eat it, you like, man, I love this. You hooked right there on the spot, like that one moment. And always remember that, and it can come. I don't care. You know what? I don't care what's going on with you, where you at. You can be homeless, destitute. In that one moment when you make a decision or something happens to make you change your mind and just say, you know what, I'm not accepting this. Everything has started to change. And just to be clear, it's not a sudden change in most cases. And I'll say in 99.5% of the times, it's not going to be some sudden thing like, you know what, you decide you want to be attractive and you get that real attractive mate, or you decide you want to drop a bunch of weight, it's going to drop off. Usually what happens, once you make that decision, a portal opens, right? The door opens, and that's it. That is it. The door opens. All of a sudden you walk through it. And it might be small at first. It might be small. Say if you're trying to lose weight and you just say no, you might just say, you know what? I'm just going to get one portion. Or I'm going to start cutting back on something. I'm going to start drinking more water. It might be slow at first, right? But then if you go back and look a year later, okay, you lost a bunch of weight, right? You lost a whole lot of weight. You changing clothes and everything. You feel better. And then that's when stuff starts to pick up, right? Because you entered a whole different world then, right? With relationships, right? Because, I'm known for talking about relationships. If you're a person and you decide, look, the class of people I deal with are toxic, right? And you're going to cut them back. And this is the type of person you want to deal with. It's going to be slow at first. You open that door and you might not notice any of the type of people you actually want to deal with at first. But then as you go along, you start running into them, and then a year later, you're always in an environment where around the type of people you want to be around. That's how it works. But everything comes down to that one moment. Now, sometimes that moment might happen to you. Something outside of you might be the catalyst, right? And realistically, it's hard for somebody to really examine themselves and think they need to change because people get comfortable. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes there has to be an outside catalyst that says, hey, this is what you need to be doing. It's normal. It's no shame. It's no shame. In fact, I think it's unrealistic to ask everybody to really look in the mirror. Even though I've told people to look in the mirror, but most people ain't. They're going to just see what they've been seeing. Sometimes unfortunately, some people just look outside of themselves. That's most people. You do have some people who can look inside of themselves, but however it comes, when that moment comes, walk through it. Walk through that door. Take the chance, jump. And your life will change. Just be patient. And like I said, it's not going to be all of a sudden. The weight ain't going to come off. You ain't going to get that hot mate. All that money and that big job ain't going to come right away. But once you make that choice, things will start to change. So that's all I have for today. Keep rising and transforming.